Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of the Seercast. This is episode number 70, and I'm here today with Kitten.
It's a shitty microphone episode.
It's like I've heard this before. Runic?
Yeah, now you're making it obvious that we had to restart.
This is episode 20, take 2.
And Liem.
It's summer.
It is indeed summer. And today we're going to be talking about the Summer Summit. Pretty much a lot of the stuff that they talked about. Some cool stuff looking forward to the future. And as we are a future updates podcast, it seems relevant for us to have a podcast dedicated solely to this stuff. So before we get started, I do want to say we are on iTunes. Please go check us out there. I know a lot of you have wanted us to be there and have wondered why we're not. Well, long story short, I couldn't figure out a good way of actually making it happen. Well, that's changed. We are there. Go search Seercast and we should pop up, and I believe our last 11 episodes are up there now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
If you need or want more, either bother us on Twitter and say, upload more to iTunes now, damn it.
That is an excellent impression of our subscribers.
Yeah, pretty much. Or just go to my YouTube and look them up there. I mean, there's a reason that there's a link to the podcast playlist in the video, in every video. But, anyways,
Don't worry, soon we'll eventually be on Tidal.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're talking about the Summer Summit here, and we're going to go ahead and move it straight into it. Talking about the stuff coming up in the summer. So the big thing for this summer that everyone's talking about is the Arc. So we have...
Yes. Arc hype.
Arc hype.
Don't waste the hype here. Save it for something else.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good with the hype.
I'm pretty hopeful for the Arc. It's got the Guardians on it. It's got this really cool Uncharted Isles.
Yeah, the Uncharted Isles mechanic looks so interesting.
Yeah.
There's a billion combinations.
My hype for No Man's Sky is not a secret, and this is the RuneScape version of No Man's Sky, and I am so pumped. It is. I've been waiting for something like this forever, and I thought we were going to get something with it with the Nemi Forest, but it didn't quite work out as planned.
That was like the first dabbling in it, but this seems like it's the actual procedurally generated, let's run out and let's go find these isles and let's get some stuff from them. And it looks really cool.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kitten.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, if it's anything like Nemi Forest, that would be incredibly disappointing, but it actually sounds like it's kind of the finished version of what they were trying to go for with that, so it sounds kind of nice.
Because it feels like, in the original ports, it was like, alright, let's go out there, let's explore the Eastern Lands, but you're not allowed to explore the Eastern Lands, you're too important, so you get some other people to do it. But now we're actually going to be able to go out there and explore the Eastern Lands that we haven't already explored, and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the procedurally generated islands, what I'm really interested about them is how do they make it worth it? So for the average player, I guess, in terms of the XPs and stuff.
True. I think they did discuss a closed economy.
They did.
They
also said that some of the XP rates could outmatch Prifddinas, which made Walter kind of explode with rage.
But at the same time, something
but
you have to think about, you have to find these isles. And not every isle has the same stuff.
And then there's tier 90 requirements, because, ports. So it does merit being above the Prifddinas, and it gets people outside Prifddinas.
Yeah, that is probably one of their goals with this update. Guys, can you please leave Prif once in a while?
Yeah, I can kind of see Walter's complaint though, because Prif thieving specifically is so stupidly overpowered.
It makes the rest of the thieving in the game look stupid.
It makes the rest of it extremely pointless and painful, which
especially
Like,
painful.
there's
I
almost
remember when I was trying to get Priff Thieving, the level for Priff Thieving, I just like did Dwarf Traders, and I was too lazy to click, so I just put my mouse under my foot.
And
that
just
works.
tap your foot.
Yep. I got to
You're-
91 thieving with my toe.
You were so impatient, you
Got
tapped
him.
your foot to level 91.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of hope it's not like this is the get 120 here place, but
It
I
might
mean-
be, but if it is, like, even then, okay,
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
Personally, I think we've really hit an end game at this point in terms of training methods for almost all skills.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you start making things any faster, and
Without a 120 to go for, and yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Well, plus,
Maybe
plus at
maybe
our
there's-
sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, at our point, I think like we're starting to get that like we don't even know what it's like to be low level anymore in a lot of different skills. So
Mhm.
now it's like okay, anything feels too fast, but there's still that big backlog in the beginning where it's just boring
Where
and
it's just, like-
actually painful.
You get 12 XP,
Yeah.
and that's it.
The advent of Iron Man has kind of let the maxed players really get a chance to see, okay, so this is how the early levels are like. But for those of us who don't really do the Iron Man stuff, which I think all four of us don't,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the only one of the Seercast that really partakes in the Iron Man is
Walter's
Walter.
really big on it.
I think
I'd
Fang
like to
does
get in
as
on it.
well.
Yes, Fang does as well. I'd like to get in on it, but I think we're all pretty well aware that lower levels, they go really slowly.
Uh-huh.
Which kind of makes sense, because once you hit 92, you're halfway through.
And we're not. None of us are. Well, Kitten's maxed, but none of the rest of us are
And I mean-
maxed. None of us are even close.
Yeah.
No, I'm really close. I just have invention, and then it's like 20 mil XP and assorted skills.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Like as soon as I get time this summer, I'm playing to max.
fair enough.
Anyways, back to the Ark. These Uncharted Isles, they look really, really cool because you have all sorts of resources on them, like bamboo or pirates. And apparently you can take out this flag, and you can just claim an island as your property. And you basically, you have it forever until you unclaim it and run off somewhere else.
Yeah, so you claim it as yours, and that saves it, so you can go back to it. So they're randomly generated, every time you go back to an isle or every time you find a new isle, it's brand new. It's a new shape. There's new stuff on it, and that's what's really cool about this stuff is that, like, what can you find? And yeah,
Yeah. So like the question is like, say you find a really good island, do you claim it or do you wait for a better one?
and also there may be a question of, once you claim an isle, can you keep exploring? I mean, obviously, I would think that you can only save one isle at a time. But can you keep exploring after that first isle? I suspect you probably can, but
that's
we'll
actually
see.
to be determined. I know Mod Orion said on Twitter that they were still having a bunch of meetings about like how many isles can you keep track of, if you can like customize your flag that you plant whenever you claim an island.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool, but that's like if we have time for it, what we can do, all that sort of stuff. But apparently unlocking the islands will definitely be part of some of the mini quests that come out with the Ark.
Mhm.
That's another thing we've just learned about. There's not going to be
yeah,
a
that's
proper
right.
quest in the Ark. There's going to be 4 mini quests
Rip
that
of
make up
Runic.
That's interesting.
There's going to be 4 mini quests that come out with the first iteration of the Ark, which is 3 islands, we don't know which.
Honestly, I'd rather have the 4 mini quests than one big quest. To be completely honest, because of the way that the Ark just is. It's a series of islands. Like, why not give each island its own little mini spotlight for it in a mini quest?
Because
Or
like
the major
it's
ones,
all
at least.
spread out, and I guess the islands, they kind of have their stories wrapped up, but then again, they are islands, so they're kind of separate. So you've got Amanishi, you've got Waco, you've got Whales Maw, all of those places. And They're just all sort of different.
Mm-hmm.
So having them all under one quest would be kind of weird.
Yeah. Do we know? So we know that the arc is being split up into two parts.
Mhm.
One's in
One
August
is
and one's in
July.
October. Oh,
One is
July and
July.
October.
July and October.
Do we know what's coming out in July and what's coming out in October, or
We
is that
know-
still yet to be
We do. It's
announced?
really fuzzy. We know 3 islands are coming out in July, but we don't know which ones. We also know that Uncharted Islands are coming out in July.
That was
I believe
the
the
question.
I believe the 4 mini quests are also coming out in July, but the other 4 islands are coming out in October, as well as Halloween and the Ark.
Yeah,
And
then the Halloween event
Yeah,
is
that
coming
sounds about right.
And then maybe something else, because if they can do more, which
Yeah.
we don't know if they can, it would be really cool if they did.
out. Yeah, and that's just a budget question. Do they have time? And that is definitely to be determined. But yeah, so the arc, the arc looks awesome. There's a series of dev blogs on it, and if you have not seen them, I would recommend going and reading them, especially this last one on the Uncharted Isles. That looks
There's going
so
to be,
cool.
There's going to be a new one soon from Mod Rally about the lore in the Ark.
Ooh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
I really hope they mention Gentleman Mallard, because Gentleman Mallard. Why did I say Mallard?
Mallard.
I like French.
Mallard.
Like, yeah. You know that pirate, Gentleman Mallard,
Yeah.
the Gentleman pirate. Apparently, his family was a bunch of rich traders in the Ark, or like they did a bunch of shipping in the East. So I'd like to see some mention of them.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that sounds about
We'll see.
interesting.
But yeah, so
And then there's the Leviathan, which Quinn might have controlled. It's just basically a big conspiracy theory that I have.
and then there's Zowtech. No.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, before we go into that, open that can of worms that we're not going to bother talking about here. Also coming with the arc, or is it before the arc? I think it's like in the weeks before the arc. They're also talking about a Port Sarim rework. So
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what comes out of that, because Port Sarim was graphically touched up pretty recently. So
They also released the Void Knight ship, along with the Void Knight Island, which we're going to talk about when the weather discussion comes up.
yeah,
So the good news, like my biggest complaint about Port Sarim is that one of the ship can't get out because it's too big, and they might be fixing that. And I'm so happy for that.
yeah. If you go to the harbor, you can see that one of the ships is literally blocked in by 2 other ships, and
I'm just shut.
rip. Oh yeah,
I've
it's
got
the
it.
shuttle too. It's one that you would actually use
The
on a
one that's
regular
used the
basis. Yeah.
Hang on, let
Yeah.
me find it for you. I took a picture of it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, my biggest complaint with Port Sarim is just that it was always so disorganized, and going to it was always just like, compared to some of the other areas, just the layout in general, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
It could seriously use just like a fix, and also the docks are just really outdated.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see, yeah. So the docks are definitely outdated, and there isn't really much to do there other than the ports portal. And so yeah, we'll see, especially now that Rat Pits is gone. Lol.
But there's going to be a rework, and here's the image of rework. The Port Sarim, the Kramja shuttle may be fixed. Mod Osborne said something about that during the live stream. But it looks so good.
That does look really good.
Oh yeah, that looks better. It kind of looks like a copy paste of player-owned ports, but at
Really,
least it
it's
doesn't look like actual crap.
It's more like a ship
Consistency.
upgrade rather than anything else. Like a ship
But
graphical upgrade.
You can see like the docks, they're updated. They're now made
Yeah.
of stone instead of wood. The builders, they leveled their construction.
They
They can
did.
use stone now.
With
They
their player-owned
progressed
ships.
from garbage age to better textures age.
Yeah.
The Lady Lumbridge is so big it can't fit in the strait.
Rip.
It can barely not fit.
But yeah. Okay, so
Alright. Moving on.
yeah, so moving on. So also this summer we are having Jack's brainchild.
Jagex
Well,
Wait,
we're,
what?
we're also having
What?
the Cabbage Quest, but no, I'm talking about Mod Jax, like his baby, the mining and smithing rework.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is in August.
That's August. Big thing. That is.
Actually,
I'm
now
excited.
that's Mod Raven's baby. Yeah,
Oh
that's
God!
Mod Raven and the Dukes are doing it.
Oh God! There's
Oh.
gonna be death everywhere.
Oh yes. As
You know it.
You're going to
Mimic
like
rocks.
randomly die while mining. Just rip
That's
everything.
You accidentally swing the pickaxe backwards, it gets buried into your head, you die.
Like, it would be like failing dungeoneering doors. That's very ever since the update. Just like suddenly your character just loses it.
Suddenly 5k damage. Rip.
Yeah, yeah. AoE damage. That's how it would go. And then poisonous.
Oh God! AOE damage. It actually hits everyone around you.
Spawns a monster or
Rip
something.
group
A rock
mining.
gets dislodged and suddenly there's one of those things, scavids or something.
You
We-
trip and you fall on a spider, it explodes and poison goes everywhere.
You trip
It's
and
a one-hit
fall on a
KO.
spider.
you step on a rusty nail. You did not get your tetanus shots. Have fun,
Yeah.
bro.
Suddenly,
You get-
Araxor.
You get
Rip
violently
Walter.
combustive tetanus.
Yeah, player name has dysentery.
Shout out to Craig.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
Madagascar
yeah.
has
God!
closed its ports.
Oh my God!
Rip.
But yeah,
That's how that rework would go.
in all seriousness, though, the mining smithing rework, I think they're still taking the public opinion on this, like on what exactly they should do. Am I
There was
wrong on that?
a survey, and on the summer survey, there was a whole, what is it called? Focuses, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Like your character specializes in specialization. That's it.
Oh,
Your character
yeah.
specializes in something like, I want to be the very best at making offhand claws, and now my offhand claws are the absolute best. Nobody else is as good at making offhand claws as I am, despite how.
Don't
how
you
niche
mean
of a market
helmets?
That is.
Don't you mean
Oh, yeah.
helmets, Lime?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm telling you,
Wow.
why would I tell people to come and take my business? Come
Okay,
on.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, that was probably the only thing that I didn't entirely like, just because I can't see it. Well, just because of my OCD is sort of like the complete all the trees sort of thing. So if you're pigeonholed into one, I don't know how that would affect stuff like invention, because you can disassemble things. So if
It
there's
was-
actually an item difference in something, hopefully there isn't too much of like a components difference. But I don't know how that would work out.
I would expect that
weird
there wouldn't be
how-
a difference there.
But that would be the thing, because like, do you go the most efficient route, or do you go the actual I want to do whatever route? Because I'm not convinced that it will ever be equivalent,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad. Unless they just baseline everything and say like anything rune using X number of bars is going to be the same no matter what at every stage.
Yeah.
Unless they like normalize it. That was the only thing that I was really worried about, because I'm like, oh god,
Yeah.
how tedious is that requirement going to be?
It was really weird how they explained it, though. I didn't fully understand.
Yeah.
But it looks good. I like that they're normalizing the mining and smithing stuff so that they match the attack
Yeah.
and
About
all,
time.
Yeah,
the,
thank
all the
God.
all the equipables and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The
I'm just
fact
worried-
that Rune requires like level 99 smithing and requires
like-
level 50 to wear, and it used to be level 40, is just beyond
I mean,
absurd.
You have to remember that when, Rune
Oh, I know.
stuff came out, it was top end gear, but
Yeah, that was like when people had full rune and an Armadillo God Sword. That was like the best you could get at the time, but still, it's that,
Or it's
that
like
was,
Dragon
unacceptable.
Chain plus 3 rune pieces. Or
No,
Like,
no,
rune
Or no,
plate,
rune
dragon
plate
head
plus
helmet,
dragon
dragon
other
plate
stuff.
legs, dragon boots.
You have the
those-
granite body.
Full
of
bot
course.
gear.
Oh
Yeah.
god, yeah, granite body.
Full
Oh,
bot gear.
Christ.
shout out.
If you see this gear, it's a bot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bots have evolved since then.
Oh yeah. I remember I was killed by a bot that was protecting other bots in the wilderness.
That was-
it was
that was
really
fun.
weird.
I know, they do that now. It's actually
They existed.
Hugh Walters gifts and endless webums of bots just overtaking 07.
Lol.
Lol.
We're not going to mention those. But yeah, anyways.
There's thousands of them.
Good.
Mining, like
Get wrecked. Sorry. Anyways,
I know there was the question of whether smithing will go to 120, and I know Walter hates it because, yeah,
because
it
Walter
makes sense why-
thinks.
It makes sense
What
why
does
you
it
don't want
Walter
more
hate?
things.
But
Well,
yeah, no, I do agree with Walter on this. Like, I don't think it should be going to 120.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
on
you
the-
can rework enough within 99s to make regular smithing fine and not having to be like, now you can smith boss armor because I think that should just stay as a boss drop just for
Yeah.
the sake of the style
Yeah.
of MMOs.
And
But,
for the style, unless, I mean, the other option is that, well, it isn't really an option though. You'd have to completely rework boss drops to make
Yeah.
it into craftables.
And
So
I mean,
the
yeah,
bosses
face
no
it,
longer drop weapons; they drop
Well-
components for weapons,
Parts.
which
Oh,
then
that
you
would-
put together
well,
in smithing.
I mean, it kind of works like that in the original God Wars dungeon
I mean-
sort
Yeah.
of.
with
Sort
some
of,
of
but-
them.
Here's the thing, with this rework, we also have to consider boss drops and monster drops in general are going to have to be changed, especially boss drops, because they've said that they're going to screw with the alch values for everything.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So-
because a lot of it, like, they'll have to either take out or put in
Yeah, and a
various,
huge,
like, rune drops.
So that means
And a
panic
huge-
sell all of your rune crap right now.
basically no, or dismantle it because
Yeah,
I
dismantle
hope
Actually,
it'll-
yes,
right.
dismantle.
because I'm assuming afterwards it'll still be really good for components.
Yeah, probably.
And it's
Yeah.
just going to be cheap now for good. So yeah,
They'd also like,
I-
and if rune becomes like level 40 stuff, like there has to be more rune rocks around, and like everything is going to change with regards to that, and especially with regards to mining.
Yeah.
Will the
Well, I mean,
farm
mining's-
door FCs become useless?
Oh, I hope they do.
I really hope they do
I was-
too.
Yeah, I was saying that specifically for Lime.
Oh,
I hope they do. It is my passion to just mess with those guys.
yeah.
Like that, like harmed Ruinor is just too overpowered.
Well, I just find they're whining on Twitter at the JMods. It's like, really? Why?
Yeah.
Why are you whining at Rowley on Twitter when, whatever?
Rite of passage.
More on that later.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
More on
Actually,
that
we'll-
later.
We'll not talk about that in a moment.
Well, we'll talk about it, mentioning that it is dead again. But
That
yeah.
we are
Anyways,
very happy about this.
well, I voted for it. I don't mind.
voted
I
it.
would not mind seeing it, but just rip. It's a
Right.
meme at this point. Rite of Passage has gone into meme status.
Oh yeah. Please tell me you've seen the account on Twitter.
I have not.
The what? It's an account.
Yeah.
Every time it mentions someone mentions Rite of Passage, it just says like, by mentioning Rite of Passage, it has been delayed another month.
Oh man.
It has currently been delayed to July of 2020.
Got him.
It's to a point. Like, just speaking of like the well ripped thing, it's like seeing when an Iron Man dies to a Highwayman or something. It's like, oh, damn.
This is great. This Twitter account. It's at Rite of Passage RS. Oh, it apparently follows me.
Yeah.
It's located in development hell. That is a nice touch. I like that.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
I mean,
Anyways,
it's just going to be really. There's a lot of questions about the mining and smithing. Now that we're back on that topic, there's a lot of questions like what's specialization going to be like? How is this going to affect everything? What's the readjustment of all the armor is going to be like? How's that going to affect everything? Oh my god,
Yeah.
why is harmed ore now useless? Riot, World 66.
casual complaining on Twitter.
One thing I think that this will be interesting is that we're discussing what they're going to do with what's the place? The Eastern Lands. Well, now we have all this new ore. We got to
That
put
would
it
actually be
somewhere.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mining
mean-
smithing rework comes out in August.
Yes.
That is after the arc. So
But
that's
it's
something to think
before
about.
the arc. It's before arc 2.
It's before arc 2, but after arc 1. So it's after the arc.
So,
Yeah.
so it's basically like we're probably not going to get mining and smithing in the Ark until after the rework.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might
So-
come with Arc too.
But mining and smithing would have already gone into development
Or-
before. Yes. So
or-
there may be considerations made.
Or it might be just Ninja
Or there
added
might
to
be-
the Uncharted Isles.
Yeah, that was what I was.
I'm
about to say.
thinking there's going to be a large component of this smithing, mining, smithing rework in the Uncharted Isles, because that seems like the perfect place to put it.
Although,
If we want it to
There
be
is-
rare.
there is one piece of lore that is kind of relevant about the Eastern Lands. Apparently, adamant ore is super rare in the Eastern Lands. Like, extremely rare. So
Really?
maybe there will be, like, some...
So maybe
like-
the high level stuff is going to be some kind of adamant alloy or something? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. It could be pretty interesting.
I
Interesting.
guess we'll see.
Yeah, that will be a very much a we'll see. Alright, so we should probably move on here. Okay. Also, this summer, the final update, I believe this is in September, is Shattered Worlds.
Yeah.
And I do not
Yes.
personally know very much about this.
Whoa,
So,
whoa, whoa.
go
we forgot
live.
about
Yeah.
We forgot about Telos.
Well, no, we talked about
Well,
that
yeah, we
last.
talked
We
about
talked about
it
that
in BTS.
in the last podcast.
Oh, okay. Whoops.
Yeah, we got that covered. So yeah, the last update. So aside from Tellus, which is this month, the last update this summer is going to be Shattered Worlds, which I don't know too much about. So Lime, go.
This was
Yeah.
actually the really mystery update for a long time. That they actually just announced it during that stream. The best that I can tell you is that it's what I wish Tuska was like.
Yeah.
Basically, you're like jumping through all these different worlds. So like, 1 minute you're on Ketsi and you've got like this mini boss, and another minute you're over on, what is it? Tardiad, and you're doing something else. And maybe you're back on Gillinor, but you're somewhere in Remington. You're just like jumping through all of these realms, and it's like a competitive form of dungeon. It's a lot of things, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like just saying, "Oh, it's basically blank," because it's like
It's new.
Tuska combined with Dungeoneering, combined with Dominion Tower, combined
Yeah.
with multiplayer.
Sounds
So
like some decent PVM in there, but I want to see it at least. This looks really, really interesting.
This might be
Like-
a stay tuned. We'll talk about this in September in the September BTS edition.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like the concept, and I feel like it could be a great minigame. But minigames are dead. Like, they're
Unless
pretty
they
dead.
have rewards that make them not dead.
Yeah.
It kind of there might be like a
Which is
title or something,
unfortunate.
but it kind of just sounds like mentioning Tuska now. It just sounds like Tuska asset reuse, which I'm like, oh,
Well,
it's not the worst idea, but
Yeah.
I mean, asset reuse in itself isn't a terrible thing. It just reduces cost. But
I know it's not.
If
just
they're-
like
if it's
just
used
for
well.
For me, seeing it RuneScape, where it's just like, oh, that thing is literally the other thing. I'm like, oh,
Put this thing in
there's
the other
like,
thing.
there's Broken Home, which really reused assets really well.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the point. because
Broken
it's
Home
just-
is the poster child for reusing assets in a constructive way, in an excellent constructive way.
yeah,
Like,
that was actually very good because that was the point of it. But yeah,
And you're too distracted because there's like a gigantic, polite demon chasing you.
I know.
Louis,
Like,
the
Gideon, he was
incredibly
such a nice
polite
demon.
Chthonian demon.
I mean, he's a nice guy once you get to know him.
He is a nice guy. He's a pretty cool dude. But
Yeah. He's got an
I-
eating disorder though.
yeah,
I do
yeah.
like it's like competitive dungeoneering on different worlds, and I feel like it could be really cool.
It does seem like it could be really cool. Not going to lie. Like that. I did enjoy the Tuska event, and I think we all did to a certain extent until we realized,
Until-
like, oh, this is it.
Until we had to grind it.
Yeah, until we had to end
Think-
up just grinding it out.
Because let's face it, the Tuska event was the most grindy out of all three world events. It
I
actually was.
I'd argue that it was better. It wasn't as bad as 1, but it was nowhere near as fun as the caravans in 2.
yeah.
Oh.
I do think that the World Event 1, especially the first 8 weeks of it,
Before,
were really
before
bad.
the shard buff, where we actually had to like world hop, and there were FCs and people got banned left and right from things, and oh my god. Then they put like the one permanent rock there forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked World Event 1 because there was no shortage of stuff. But that's like a tired old rant that I have.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was what went wrong with Tuska, that they just didn't add anything after the fact. There was no real changes in the event.
Yeah, it just...
They could have done.
Yeah.
They could have done something really cool because, like, oh, she's getting closer and closer to Gillinor. There's weirder and weirder stuff happening.
There's
off
more
topic,
stages,
just
but
saying.
yeah, we've talked about this quite a bit. We had at least 2 podcasts, if not 3, where we talked a lot about Tuska and that entire world event. And so if you want to go check that out, please do. I don't have the number, but it's probably somewhere in the 40s, maybe 50s.
Yeah.
But it'd pretty much be right in the title. But anyway, so yeah, Shattered Worlds looks pretty cool.
It looks interesting. I just want to see what rewards are, because rewards is what's going to keep people coming back.
Who's developing
Yes.
it? Is this the Watch?
That's what's
This is the Watch.
This is gonna make or break
Okay.
it.
And like, I think I'm gonna touch on rewards and stuff once we get to the other bosses that are on the survey. Anyhow, keep going.
But yeah, so that brings us to the end of the summer. So now we look forward into the future, and we'll start with quests, because on this
There are
podcast,
many of them.
what else would we start with?
Let's start with penguins because it's this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're going to start with penguins. First thing I saw on the what was it, the
The thread, right?
Was it
or
the thread?
live stream?
I can't remember what it was, but penguins,
It was-
a penguin
it was
musical
first.
in space.
Oh
I mean-
yeah, that was something in the live stream where they're just like penguins and something and in space and like something
That.
else, and I made a tweet on Seercast. I was like, "Can we make our logo real, please?"
Please.
The cosmic penguins.
Yeah,
Cosmic
cosmic penguins in space with the Stone of Jas, because why not?
We
Oh,
will
wait, that logo.
we
I
will
thought it was
literally
the logo
be
of Gordon's
canon.
face crashing into Gillinor.
We can make
Well,
that real.
You
World
mean
Event
crashing
4.
into me?
Oh
World Event 4,
jeez.
just Gordon
My
smashing
face.
the line.
Lime versus Gordon.
Oh man.
Game on.
Bring it.
Bring it in Chronicle.
Seercast ball hype.
1v1v mate. I'll wreck you.
Meet me in the wilderness with your bank, bro. Anyways, but yeah, so Penguin Quest is obviously something of hype here.
They
But
did say,
other
like,
than Penguin Musical in Space, what did they actually say about the penguins?
Mon Osborne said, like, penguins, they could go anywhere, and it's pretty like, there's no real end to the penguins. There's
Which
just
is
more and more
great.
shenanigans.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be
Yeah,
great.
basically, like, anything can happen with penguins, which, like, the more I think about it, the more, like, for some reason, the only picture I have in my head, because penguins are, like, the Communist Party picture, where it's literally a party with Lenin, Stalin,
Yes.
Lenin,
and it's
yeah.
actually a party
Yeah, I picture, like, penguin parties
with
like
lots
that.
of drinking.
I mean,
Just make it very political and very much just goofy with penguins. That'd
I
be
can
hilarious.
totally
The
see
greatest-
that.
the greatest in Soviet Russia joke of all time.
Oh man.
In Soviet Russia, take it away.
Take it away.
Because I don't know what the
Let's see.
actual joke is.
In Soviet Russia,
You're
penguins
fail-
put you in zoo.
You're failing miserably at this, Lime. God damn it.
God damn it, Lime. Russian to do this shit.
No.
Oh man. That was actually scary good.
Thank you. I practice a lot. I drink a lot of vodka for this house.
Oh my god.
Do you play CS:GO?
Oh no.
No, I don't.
Oh my,
Gabriel.
oh my god. Anyways.
You have with penguins, you have to remember that the villain that we know so far, Pescaline Pax, he is only one of 10 sons of, like, the mega villain, the Pescalian.
I wonder if in the future quest series they'll make it kind of like a comedic villain kind of thing, because there really aren't any comedic villains in RuneScape, like not that I can think of.
Yeah, it's like they kind of tried with Slisky, and then
He-
that's still like
He's
borderline
not really a
like
villain,
threat
though.
versus just nah.
It's borderline threat versus I can't take you seriously at all.
Yeah, it's
There's
he's
Rabbit
not
Jack.
a villain. He's just a troll.
Yeah.
There
Whereas
is Rabbit Jack.
we don't really know anything about Rabbit Jack, though. The Pirate series as a whole, which we'll also talk about, actually we can just start talking about that now, is kind of a trolly kind of series as well, but I wouldn't consider
got-
Rabbit Jack as a comedic villain. Because
It's got serious undertones.
it's got very serious undertones. But
Yeah.
you could make Pestling
Just-
Pax literally just like a total comedic villain and have it be riotously funny.
Like a parody Bond villain.
Yeah, I mean, and you know that the third Penguin series was originally, or title was originally Gold Flipper, as a Bond
Yeah.
Bond reference.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
yeah.
the series is a bunch of elaborate James Bond references.
Yeah. Well, elaborate all sorts of references, mostly Soviet Russia references.
To
Yes,
the point, like,
I
the
approve of
accents are
these.
actually in text.
But yeah. Anyways, so that's as much as we could spam about penguins all day long. Next up we should just go ahead and talk about pirates. So what did we learn about that?
It would be the pirate finale. We didn't really learn much about it. It's just like this is going to be the pirate finale. There may be a Zhaotak feature in there somewhere, and we kind of knew that already because zombie pirates and like there was that whole part in Kindred Spirits where it's like we pulled this ancient artifact from the deep and real weird stuff started happening. So it'd just be more of taking the fight to Rabbit Jack. I'm not exactly sure what else we learned from the stream. It's just more of the same.
Yeah.
That it's going to be.
They didn't really give us much new stuff to hype about for the Pirate Quest, other than Zhaotak, which I think we're all pretty certain is going to come with the next Pirate Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for just like pirate area graphical updates. Just because.
Yeah, remember those islands that nobody ever goes to? Yeah.
Yeah,
those might require a
Like-
reason for people to go to.
Like Brain Death Island and some of the
Brain Death, Harmony, Mostly Harmless. There's another one that literally just never gets used. None of those four ever see people on them.
You
Yeah.
mean The Rock?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can say The Rock too.
True.
But that's just the one quest location, as opposed to like an actual city or an actual island that has stuff on it, but it's just outdated / useless stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the pirates. Apparently, Elemental Workshop 5 is also
Yes.
polling reasonably well.
That is
Yeah.
really
I mean-
surprising.
Like I said earlier, Elemental Workshop polling reasonably well means it's getting votes.
Yeah, part of it was also that we did, with 4, we did get, I think is it Astral and Nature, the 2 specific doors that are still there?
Yeah, and they've done
No,
that
it
with all
wasn't.
of them, though.
Yes.
But they've,
thought
Yeah,
you were
maybe
talking
they were
about-
always there. Yeah, I can't remember. But we did specifically end up seeing those, so people probably want them to actually be made.
yeah. I mean,
Also-
they've teased future Elemental Workshop quests with each of the other ones. Like you've been able to see each of the next set of doors with the previous quest. So
And then Invention came out, and that like Elemental Workshop is basically Invention in
Quest
this
form.
weird subterranean vault thingy with no characters.
yeah,
But it's just so good at what it does, and it can have Invention tie-ins, and it can be so good, and yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think another Elemental Workshop 5 and a post-invention RS can be really, really interesting.
yeah, and you could
But it has
unlock
to be handled right.
you could unlock
Yeah.
all sorts of inventions and stuff and the rewards. And it doesn't. The nice thing here is that it doesn't lock you into those it shouldn't lock you into those elemental things like the body and that kind of stuff. Like I mean, yeah, it's amusing that the troll name of that, but the rewards don't necessarily need to be something along those lines. They can be invention recipes or something
But then
like that.
There's the thought of like, you know, completing the set.
Or upgrading, or they keep releasing the set parts, but then you can start like individually upgrading them because there's only so many bits of that set that you like. There's all sorts of stuff they could do.
There could be like blueprints to update the actual workshop, because all you can really do at this point is very monotonously make bars, and it's
You
really
could make it
slow.
Yeah,
You could make it like the absolute best invention training set for magic.
Oh, that would be
Like
cool.
the
That would
absolute
actually be
best
nice.
augmentation set. Like maybe the level 60 gear can also have it, and maybe the level 70 gear can get level 80 experience, or it can have like better augments and stuff
Start
like
to
that.
introduce the elemental workshop, not this quest series, but the actual workshop as the invention, as like the high level invention hub or something like that, or as a
it's
new
literally
invention
like
hub.
Yeah, it's a warehouse like full of stuff. You'd kind of at this point like we have the components and things like that. Like just in terms of thematically, it should technically work together. I think,
Technically,
but yeah.
Technically, yeah.
yeah.
I-
So
You know what? It actually kind of reminds me. I don't know if you guys saw this news, but they're actually going back to the 70s, and they're picking up all these old discarded nuclear reactor type stuff. It's called the Stellarator. It kind of reminds me of that. Like you're picking up all this old technology, and it's suddenly really good.
like
Because it
sort
works
of
well-
reverse engineering it or something.
because it works well with new technology.
Yeah, or that.
Because like you can like computer generate a nuclear reactor now, and it would be perfect, and stuff like that. It could. I like the idea of old tech working with new tech.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Is it to like minimize Chernobyl stuff?
Um,
That's what it kind of sounds like, just to minimize disaster stuff. But that would be kind of interesting to have like in a RuneScape context. Like we do have the disassembly thing, but actually introducing like blueprints to add on to existing things in a different way would be kind
yeah,
of
it's like augmenting in a completely different manner. I mean, it's go back to our sewing machine joke. Like it'd be something kind of like that. Like honestly.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of nice redemption, considering how the tech trees were kind of questionable. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so Elemental Workshop 5 was also mentioned. That has always been one of my favorite quest series, and I would love to see that continued. So moving on, Lime would kill me if I didn't mention the desert, so go spam about it.
that's the top two of my updates. I've been waiting for the desert for so long. I have a whole thread. I'm going to fanboy out right now.
Go
I
for
hope
it.
you guys know that.
I was fully expecting this.
Metaphos.
We'll talk about Menaphos in a bit, though.
Oh yeah,
This is
the desert
specifically
quest.
Desert Quest.
The next desert quest is going to be about Krondus. I think the biggest misconception is that people think, oh, we're going to be reassembling Krondus. But actually, our main source on this, Jagex, he says that Krondus may not actually be in kind of this disarray state. It just may be that she's decided to turn her back on Gielinor, or like she's decided not to help the people of Gielinor because maybe she's being kept in line by Amiska.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. Anyways, yeah, go on.
I think I might even like the idea that Krondus is searching for Tumlikin or something like that, because that was an idea I heard.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool.
Would be interesting.
It would also be like furthering the desert storyline, which hasn't happened in like 6 years.
When did Do No Evil come out?
Oh,
That came out
10.
in December of 2010.
Yep, 2010.
Holy
been 6 years.
crap.
6 years. Well, it's 5.5 years, but yeah, 6 years.
And that is still one of the best quests they've ever made. That is
Oh, yeah.
like top 2, top 3 in my book.
I'd put it in top 10, but fair enough.
And then there's the Ozan quest. They came out in 2012, so that was 4 years ago.
Shout out. Oh, yeah. That's a good segue into Death of Chivalry 2.
Oh, did that come out? No, that came out in 2013.
That was a
didn't it?
little bit later, but I mean that's
Wait,
still been
what
several
Ozan
years.
Quest?
In any event, let
What
me just
Ozan
wrap up.
Quest?
Can I finish up with the
Oh,
desert quest
never mind.
first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's going to be about Krondus, or it could be about it could be just furthering the desert storyline with the whole looming war between Al-Kharid and Menaphos, because there are two separate storylines in the desert quests. One which is a lot more divine, and it's going through all of the it's going through all the gods. First going with Senlatin, who isn't a god, but she's from the Second Age, so she's amazing. Then there's Atmakin, and then we could keep going with the gods. Or they could be going with the more secular storyline, where they're trying to get inside Menaphos, and they're trying to work harder with Menaphos. The last time that storyline went forward was dealing with Scabrous, which was 2008.
That quest. Still.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Did they decide between Krondus and what was it, Het? Was the other option?
I'm pretty sure it's going with Krondus, but
Yeah.
Het is the other option.
Yeah, because I remember they mentioned two, and that was the closest they had. I wasn't sure if they picked one.
And then there's the big question of where the hell Elidnus is.
True.
My current mental headcanon is that she's doing the smartest thing out of all the gods, and she's decided to lay low in this whole business so that she doesn't die.
She's just hanging out. But yeah, so that is the desert quest. We should move right into Death of Chivalry because of our unintentional segue into that.
Yeah,
So-
brain fart.
Yeah. So Death of Chivalry was released. Was that freaking awesome Saradomin quest by Stu? A couple 3 years ago, I guess it was.
Yes,
And
it was
so-
during 2013.
And so the sequel to that, which would feature Sir Owen again and doing other stuff kind of Sir Owen-y, and it would probably feature the centaurs and more Third Age lore and some
It'd probably have more Saradomin because
more
Saradomin.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets a bad rep.
He does
He
get
gets
a
too
bad
bad a
rap,
rap.
but he probably deserves it. But yeah, so this is another one of those. I would love to play another version of Death of Ship, or not another version,
Because-
but the sequel.
Yeah,
The
that was
first one
great.
the first one was just so good.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to, like, because that was probably one of my favorite quests, like, just looking back, because that had all the... You get to insult Saradomin, personally.
Yes.
There are cabbages, there are extra rewards afterwards, there are decent boss fights, and there were cool player models for the centaurs. So,
Yeah.
well, not player models, well, models in general. That was cool.
It worked so good. And then there was the whole rework of the Black Knight's Fortress, and
Oh, yeah.
it was a crime that they didn't say it was one of the best quests of this year. And my dog agrees, if you can hear him right now.
I can. Yep.
Yes, he's voicing his
He's voicing his opinions.
Yes.
Unsolicited opinions about
He's
Death of
just a
Chivalry.
little bit hyped.
Yeah, he
Little
is
bit.
more than a little bit hyped. But I can't wait to go through just that whole quest again. See, like, Sir Amit go, "Oh my god, what has happened to you?" And just, like, literally flip a shit about what happened to Sir Owen's arm.
Yeah.
Turned into a cabbage.
Oh. gowerquest hype.
Alright.
Gower
Yay.
quest hype.
But yeah. So Death of Chivalry 2 is on the list. That looks very cool, of course. One of the other ones that seems kind of interesting is the Godless. Is the Godless quest, and that would...
Yeah, I mean,
just-
it sounds interesting, but I think that they've really blown their shot with the Godless, and, like, they're a few years overdue for Godless Quest. At this point,
Yeah.
it's just pointless.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
think coming out they should have had a quest, because now they just seem like a group of, like, well, if you're an atheist and even disagree to the point of video games, you can go with the shirtless guy. That's my
pretty
take
much.
on the Godless at this point, but, like, I don't know. It would be kind of interesting to see what they actually are trying to go for, because it just kind of seems like, we hate everything, and we don't wear a lot of clothes.
And we don't wear a lot of clothes.
I mean, I can get behind the second one.
I see no problem here.
Create more nudity in RuneScape.
Please
Player
no.
model update.
Speaking of which, no. Anyways, moving on. What were you gonna say, Lime?
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say it's too little, too late, and now it's the boss faction. I can't wait
Yeah.
until we get Araxor, who's being ridden by a shirtless, godless person.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
then Araxor's just like, I hate all gods.
Literally an
Ah.
Araxor mount. Rip.
Araxor suddenly is able to speak.
Oh
my
man.
God.
So one of
And then
the
both Walter and Runic have PTSD.
yeah.
They're
But
triggered.
yeah. So the a couple three minor quests or three quests that don't seem to be getting any kind of real support. The gnomes, which as Lime says, have anti-hype attached to them. Like
They
I mean,
somehow
like,
they managed to skip over themselves and hype a completely different series.
yeah, the
Yeah,
monkeys.
like they better not ever just do it as an excuse to put in Gnome Child again. No,
But-
I never want to see that again.
But part of the problem with the gnomes
you
is that the
understand what I'm going to... every week, at a random time, I'm going to send you a picture of a gnome child.
rip.
I can send. Oh god,
Is
I
this
have
like
edits of
is
it.
this
It's
like
not
that
good.
guy on Imgur that like randomly posts photo albums and like the last picture has what's his face's face on it?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wait, are you talking about hat coveting Putin?
I don't think so. It's Cera. I
Well,
think it's
I
the
mean,
guy's.
You should be.
It's like Michael Cera or something. It's whatever. Anyways,
But, I mean...
Sarah.
The thing is that I played through the gnome quests fairly recently. Like, it was after the 6th age had started, so after the world wakes. Like, I did them all one shot. I was really late on finishing them. But anyhow, it's not a bad series.
No, it's
just
not a
that
bad series.
It's so
It's just
generic.
it sets up so much really interesting lore, and all the setup that the gnome series has done and all the lore it's been setting up and the ideas have just been kind of really shit on by the 6th age.
Like it's
So like there doesn't feel like there's a point to the series anymore, because it's just everything that really makes it look interesting is just kind of being put into the 6th age.
and then everything else just makes it look generic.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, yeah.
there's a
Besides
whole-
like the mystery
yeah.
of Arpoprazandra and the history of the gnomes, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see Arposandra, but when you basically kill off the only interesting gnome character in a different quest, in a completely unrelated quest, it just destroys all hype surrounding anything in a quest series. So, and to that end, I'm referring to Hazelmere.
I feel
But-
like
No.
they should just, instead of finishing the quest series, they should just go back, rework them, so they don't have to go back and rework them later, and have to completely change the focus of the quest.
Don't know.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Also, apparently, so Rite of Passage, we mentioned that briefly earlier. That was on the thing, and that
I
has
mean,
now been
I
delayed
thought-
for another month. Rip.
Yeah, Rip Rite of Passage will now be released in July 2020.
Puppy Monkey Baby Rage. Anyways, also Dimension of Disaster 2 was brought forth, and that was an idea that would put a Dimension of Disaster-esque spin to Falador. Apparently that was
It
rather
was poorly received. to say the
poorly
least.
received in Twitch chat, and
I mean, the thing with that is that Dimension Disaster works because it's that one-time thing for the 200th quest.
yeah.
You don't really need to repeat that until we hit quest 300.
You don't do the same gag twice.
Exactly.
And while I'm not a big fan of those kind of quests as it is, so I'm fine with Dimension of Disaster 2 not happening, but like it needs to have a really good reason to do it too.
And then-
the alternate universe where Zemrigal is in control is a pretty good reason. I can't, other than like, oh well, this is what would have happened if the Black Knights had won. I can't think of anything for Falador that would be
Yeah.
remotely interesting. So
The only thing that is threatening Falador right now is the lack of cabbages and the giant mole. They may or may not be related. We don't know for sure. But,
literally, Dimension of Disaster 2's plotline is the mole takes over Falador.
It's the mole boss fight.
It is. It is. But okay, so we've covered all but one, all but probably the most important one, which is the Elder Gods. So this is one that Mod Osborne has said is looking very strong in the survey results. So it is hard to imagine, especially with the 6th Age hype surrounding the Elder Gods, that there won't be some kind of Elder God quest. What did they say about this in the stream?
Basically nothing.
I just
okay.
remember it being mentioned, and that was it.
Yeah, it was just mentioned as an aside. I think it's just basically what you expect. It's going to be following what Heart of Stone set up.
It's basically Heart of Stone 2.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Well, like
But
I don't.
I'm not complaining about
A
that.
sequel to Heart of Stone.
Yes.
That's what I mean
would
by
be-
Heart of Stone 2. It's the same thing as Death of Chivalry 2, where it's a sequel to Death of Chivalry.
I do know they put the question out there of should the Elder Gods appear in the quest, to which I say they already have, and what they would
Yeah.
think of life of this world, and I would say not very much.
Yeah, not very
And-
much.
Like,
As long
The-
as the response isn't friendship is magic, we're fine.
Oh Christ, no! Like the thing that I was thinking was just like, just make some joke of like, why do you keep your pets in your banks? like something dumb like that. Like, oh god, if
no.
it's friendship is magic, like I might.
He just
break
might
something.
just quit. I'm done.
I
I'm
might-
done, guys.
That's the thing. I don't want that to happen at all. Like, or something like, believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
it's gonna be more of the Elder Gods are waking up, everyone panic.
Yep.
And
Picnic.
and then we go heist a bank or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be more of like
That's related.
Steal blue party hats.
Oh,
exactly.
man. Suddenly, other quests.
Suddenly,
Suddenly.
Only wise
Um,
old man.
yeah, the wise old man is back at it again. He dies in the quest.
Rip.
No.
And
Rip.
then we get a
Never
rom-
lucky.
We get a rom-com of Xenia and the wise old man in the afterlife.
No, please.
Ugh.
Anyways,
Moving on.
since this turn took a decided turn for the worse, we're gonna move on to reworks now.
Yay!
But yeah, so the reworks that they mentioned that we're not going to cover much are going to be the bank rework, the agility rework, and the clans rework. So agility rework we've talked about at other times. Bank rework is like, okay. And clan rework is really necessary, but
Like, all of them are things that are nice to have,
yeah,
Yeah.
but we're not going to talk about them until it's more solidified because they're a lot more technical.
yeah. So first thing we'll talk about in terms of like actual reworks is construction rework, because we were given a bit of information on what they would do, how they would do it.
We actually got a demo, too, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it's basically like customization times a million. Finally.
Literally
It's
evolution
like
of doors.
incentivization to literally just delete your house and start over, which I know a lot of people put a lot of effort into stuff, so I don't know how it's going to work out. I hope things, like, my hope is that just things can become editable and you can change things if you already set them there. Like, just adding a
That
door or
seems
something.
like
That
the
should be
logical way of doing it.
fun. Yeah, like,
I mean,
like
I'd-
once you
I'd
have
happily
something
build those
put down...
nice.
Yeah, like, even though you have something built, you can still just move the location of it. I don't see how that would be too difficult to
Yeah.
make. But, still.
But if you have to
I mean,
completely redo your room setup, then you might need to undo and redo rooms. Like, it might end up costing the general player base a lot if
Yeah.
they have a construction
I'm not
rework.
complaining. I mean, I don't mind spending money. But,
Yeah, I mean, then again, it's not like the general player base that would be interested in this kind of an update,
Yeah.
generally
It's not-
speaking, has problems with money.
Yeah,
So,
it's not like we're out of money at all, because
No.
it's, if anything, more money still.
it's so
Despite
Yeah.
the money sinks, there's more
and
money.
it's so easy to get money as well now that, I mean, maybe this is just coming from somebody who has high levels in general, but even with skilling options, there's plenty of money to be made.
Yes, if you only grind for it.
Yeah,
I
mean,
got my first tier 90 the other day, so that was nice.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
You're
well,
late,
It was my second.
but-
It was my second tier 90 because I sold the first one to get a tier 85 because Runic told me to.
God damn it, Runic.
But this construction update, it looks like everything that was great from the aquarium, besides the fishing parts, where you could just customize everything that went to a room, times a million, and then they already have part of it done, and then there might be let's do reskins for everything, and let's add more content, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and it's interesting, some of these updates, like the aquarium, they might literally have been prototypes for, or test runs for a kind of construction rework, and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah, doing the grid of, I want this to go here, and then you can take it out and you still have that item.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not there. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, so you're pre-making the furniture, and then you literally pick up the furniture and move it.
And I almost forgot to mention that with the construction and POH rework, there could be more surface world construction. So,
this is IKEA, the scale.
Oh, jeez.
Almost.
Except unlike IKEA, it's not cheap.
Would still be oak door. It'd still be better than oak door making the skill.
Yeah, at least we'll get, hopefully, most of our stuff in one piece.
But with the surface world construction,
and with understandable instructions. Sorry, go on.
Well, yeah. It could be you have this massive drill or an excavator at a mining site, and it'll increase your mining XP. It would be just more tying into the main skill, tying into the rest of the game, the other skills like mining, fishing, all sorts of stuff like that. Maybe with construction and invention knowledge, you can have this gigantic, I don't know, oil well or something. You start fracking.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Rip.
Start fracking.
Rip environment.
We had a
Rip
whole
Anima
quest about
Mundi.
this, guys. We had a whole quest about it.
Import
we?
gnomes to do it.
What
to
was our
start
quest about
outsourcing.
that?
Perils of Ice Mountain.
Oh yeah, I guess that was. Yeah, okay.
The environment quest.
It was the save the environment. But yeah,
Wait,
so
we have a save the environment quest?
yep, apparently.
Yeah. Perils of Ice Mountain.
But
And
yeah,
the guy turned around and he became all goody two shoes, and now he's the invention trainer for the useless invention tech tree.
rip. But yeah, so construction rework looks very interesting. One thing that I believe all of us here agree desperately needs a rework is the player model, and that was also
Oh my
discussed.
god, yeah. The player models have been through their bad runs.
It's
Oh.
Jagex keeps using cutscenes, and the cutscenes show off the absolute worst parts of the player model.
Can we
And-
just have a close-up of our player model during the World Wakes, where
Triangle
we have
face.
the shocked face that we have.
That
in
is
the
Triangle
literally
mouth,
has
yeah.
the mouth as a triangle. It's like,
The
oh.
stupid Illuminati eye and the X-Files intro in it.
Ah.
I think the worst one was when the female characters, which didn't last very long, they looked like blow-up dolls. That was the
Oh
worst.
god, that was so
It-
bad.
It was like the boob update, which was oh man,
Or where they
that was
broke,
bad.
or where they broke the female character models' faces. That was really
yeah.
bad too.
It
That was
seemed like
intentional too. It's like,
skill
what
keeps
were you
slipping through boobs
thinking?
and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, I don't know how, that's just the thing I'm thinking of, how much better can it look while still keeping it kind of stylized? Because Walter and I kind of had, a back and forth, complaint session of, a mix of talking about, why character models look really bad in Chronicle, and then it looks really weird in game anyway, but it looks worse everywhere else. I don't know how it would get improved. Would it be for all NPCs as well? Or
No, it wouldn't be for all NPCs.
If it would be for all
Okay.
NPCs
I don't
as
think so.
well, that would be probably the biggest update they've ever done. So
it'd
I
be nice
find it unlikely.
consistency, but,
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be
You can
nice
see
consistency.
varying quality of the NPC models. So
Rip
I think this is going
Skavens.
to be specifically player models.
Yeah. It seems like it's only player models. It's just I don't know where it would go, and it can either be so bad or so good. And just considering all the bugs with NXT already, I'm excited to see the stretchy glitches they will inevitably have.
I can't
NXT
wait.
bugs
I
are
can't
fun.
wait to be a sea urchin.
Literally,
realized-
literally, you turn into the Sinseer.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait
That
to
was
realize
bad.
my dream of becoming what I always fished.
You are what you fish.
Oh my god.
And then I can wear the crystal armor, and then the illusion will be perfect. I'll be a giant crystal urchin.
Literally, crystal urchin. All right, so yeah, that's the player model. The last rework is also one that Mod Osborne has been saying is doing quite well in the polls, and that is the achievement model, or the achievement system rework.
I have
Yay.
very little to say about this.
I also have very
I
little to say
don't
about
have
this.
anything to say about this.
I
Do
mean,
we even know where it's going? Like, are they adding more achievements, or are they just changing how it works?
I think they're just changing how it works and how it's like all compiled
I'd
together
assume
because
both.
you've got some achievements that they do contribute to the achievement diaries, and then you've got other ones that are just kind of out there, and then some of them you get money from Explorer Jack for. And
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of all over the place, and then there might come up with some synergy between the items, but that could just be me pulling things out of my ass. It's just really, really strange.
Yeah. I mean, this was not one of the things I voted for at all. So
yeah,
I don't.
wasn't- Yeah.
I'm not really that hyped about this one, but it could be interesting if they do decide to make some kind of real set bonus for all of the task sets or something. What I'm worried about is that people are voting for it just wanting another task set, because that's not
Yeah.
what this would be.
Like,
Yeah.
More
I mean,
tasks
task sets
is
are
not really
fun.
the answer.
Task sets are fun, but not for long. Like, I don't know. I
You
don't
do it
think
once
we
and
need
then
too
you're
many.
done.
Yeah. Yeah, part of it, like, that was sort of the thing, like, originally with task sets, where it was like you could kind of progress with the game. As you progress with the game, you could progress with it, because that was a time, like, just thinking back to, like, the Karamja Diary, where the actual hardest one was Beat Jad. And that was actually pretty good, because it was all balanced out at the time. And now, like, if they're seriously just gonna make, like, more higher level stuff or put in achievement diaries where there don't have to be any, that would be kind of like, well, thanks, but no thanks. But, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't
I
know
mean-
what would change it.
Your average player right now is a lot higher level than it used to be. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless it's like, okay, how about you maximize the amount of stuff you do every tick? So you cook a fish, and then you augment a gizmo, and then you summon a mini Jad or something like that, and you have to do it while wearing some blue clothes and stuff like that.
Well, that sounds really stupid. Like, that sounds
Well-
really, really dumb.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So achievements are great for new players because you can just kind of residually finish stuff as you go through. But for
And then it it encourages exploration.
yeah, I don't know. But then again,
Yeah.
that's for the new players, and these aren't new players voting for these things, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Because the new
Yeah.
players don't know these polls exist because they're
Yeah.
new.
Yeah, I remember, like, originally, I'm trying to think of, like, the second, or, like, the most recent sort of achievement update, when it was literally you log in and you move somewhere and that's an achievement. And that was sort of the last thing that's like, oh, okay, this is weird. And then it opened up to, like, the optional ones, and there's still stuff, like, you don't have to do it, but it's there, but it's not a requirement, but still shows up. And
Yeah,
then,
that, like the live in
Yeah.
farm stuff. That's because you don't.
Yeah.
This doesn't count towards the Fremenic Isles achievement set. It's like, okay,
Yeah, like, it's
Why
just there,
not?
and then
what's the
It's like-
point? Yeah,
yeah, it kind of goes back to the thing of, like, not to drag, like, completionist stuff in, but just, like, it doesn't feel like you're completing something entirely.
yeah.
It's for
Yeah.
OCD reasons. But I don't know what they could possibly change with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember what they mentioned.
I guess it's just like consolidation. I'm not. Yeah, we don't really
Maybe.
know. We don't really know what they mean by this.
Yeah.
Anyways, we need to move on, so we're going into exploration now. So that's another segment of the future. A couple that we're not going to talk about much are going to be the underwater city as an option, and the another ports expansion. I guess that's to the Eastern Lands, where you'd go to the Skull. as much as I would love more Eastern Land stuff, I think we're good with what we've got right
wait.
now. But
No. Wait. Are you talking about like expanding the player on port system?
I'm not sure.
So, like,
are we?
well, they had both of those.
Because the
So-
Skull is already a player-owned ports region, so I'd assume that
Yeah.
it's like whatever.
But both more ports.
Oh,
and
you're talking about
more
more.
Eastern
There is
lands.
also there's both
Yeah.
more ports
Yeah.
and more Eastern lands. Yeah,
Both
well,
of those are options.
both of those are
And-
options, and neither of those we'll talk about.
Yes.
But yeah, then
All right.
so the Skull but I'd like to see how the first Eastern Lands thing works
Yeah,
out
that's-
before we want to spam
that's the
about a
major
second
argument.
one, and yeah.
Despite how good it looks, let's not jump the gun.
Yeah.
Despite how much faith we have in Mod Orion, Mod Rally, Mod Stu, and all the other Guardians, let's give it a rest for a moment.
Underwater City seems like it should come with pirates or some similar
Some kind of-
something to that.
Fang would murder me if I didn't mention AVNCs, which, like, not AVNCs like flying, like AVNCs as in
AVN
The-
SEAS.
yes,
AVN.
because apparently we wrote a whole bunch of
Apparently.
the old quest writers wrote this whole quest saga of these underwater AVNCs that were supposed to expand on AVNC lore, and it was awesome and it was completely insane, and we've been hoping it would get in game, but it will never get in game.
Rip. Never lucky.
Is
Big
it
rage.
just like if Angry Birds got hit by a tsunami?
Pretty much.
No, it was weirder.
Angry Birds
It's
got hit by a
weirder than
tsunami.
that. Okay.
Like Nomad was in it.
Okay,
Fine.
but anyways, moving
No,
on.
no, it was Nomad and me from the Lunar Diplomacy quest.
Oh, no.
Moving on. So first thing we'll actually talk about is the mysterious continent. So frankly, I am a huge exploration advocate. Like this is my kind of update. You see how hyped I am about procedurally generated islands, about like stuff like No Man's Sky. I want large scale explorations, and this is my kind of stuff. So what do we know about the mysterious continent?
Nothing.
We know this is
Pretty much.
Lime. Did we lose Lime?
I think Lime's dead.
No, I just had the mic muted because my parents were talking.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay, fair enough.
So it's another one of Hellring's updates, and basically that means that she wants Jagex to focus more on what's actually the lore going to be around there. So we don't really know much about the lore, but we do know that she wants it to be like, we're going out to this ruined, mysterious continent. We're starting to rebuild things here, and I feel like there would be a lot of item syncy stuff, but it would also be a lot of exploration.
Yay, exploration.
yay.
Yeah. And yay, item syncs, because,
Yeah.
we have too many items.
Yep.
Oh yeah, true.
Invention's
But then
helping
again-
a lot with that, though.
It is. Like I don't know if anyone saw the post on Reddit. Subjugation wards are 3 mil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before
back.
invention, they were 30K.
I
Yeah.
This isn't even a joke.
assume
It's
that
like-
I assume that there's some really important component that comes from subjugation stuff.
Yeah, Zamorak components, which gives the combination of impatient 3, devoted 3,
Yep.
which is really powerful.
Well, there you go. Alright. So, so Mysterious Continent, that's like another cool exploration kind of thing. We don't know much about it. We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
if it polls well enough. But something we do know a bunch about, and which is our last exploration topic, is also polling really well, and that is Menaphos.
Menaphos!
So Lime, go spam.
Menaphos. Memphis. It's just like what was polled last year and was defeated by the Ark.
Rip.
Hashtag blame Avernick. And
Damn it, Avernick.
Exactly. God damn it, Avernick. But it's back and it's with a vengeance.
Avernick.
It's we've got so much hype for all of the desert stuff already. It would be more of the 4 districts, the ports, the slums, the merchants, and the Imperial District. I'm kind of hoping that there will be like an Imperial treasury, and we can do thieving stuff with that. And I've also mentioned the Imperial barracks. Fang wants a whole dungeoneering type thing with the Royal Library. There's of course going to be a ports tie-in with the ports, but there's just got to be so much stuff that could be in Menaphos, and it would be so cool. And that's not to mention the fact that we only have half of Sophenum. So if we wanted to, like, more stuff could spill over into Sophenum.
So it becomes
Does that
another
make sense?
Taverthorpe.
Yeah, the whole place, they're basically the same city already.
I mean, yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
If for anybody who wants their mind blown and doesn't know this already, Sophonim is literally Menaphos backwards. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Wait, people
almost.
didn't know that?
no, it is. It's the exact same.
No, the PH.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
If you replace that with an F, then yeah, it's backwards.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So, it could have. There is so much room that this stuff could just spill over. There could be so many quest tie-ins because everyone wants the desert quest. It's doing so well in the polls.
Hmm.
And it's just it could be so cool, and we've already got all this hype surrounding it, so why not? Let's just keep going.
Hype. 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 Hype.
Hype.
But yeah, so Menaphos is doing pretty well. I'm curious to see how it'll stack up against Prif, because what they were really, really aiming for with Prif is that they make a place that people want to go and people want to hang out in. How are
And
they
then
going to
people-
make Menaphos compete with
That's-
that? And that's
That's
Put
the
a
big
GE in
question.
Let's just put a Grand Exchange in it and something equivalent to a Max Guild.
It's literally just another Prift in us.
All we
Except
need
Just
in
is
the
a-
copy
desert.
paste it.
Yeah, no, all we need is an overpowered thieving location.
Oh, jeez. That used to be the Pyramid Plunder,
Sorry.
even if Pyramid Plunder was the most obnoxious thing ever.
To be honest, just buff Pyramid Plunder.
Nah.
I know it's like caps off at a certain level, but
But yeah, so go on.
I'm part of the subgroup that kind of likes Pyramid Plunder, but only when I don't grind it out too much. So every once in a while I run down there,
I
play
can't
2 or 3
stand
rounds, and
that
then leave.
place. I cannot stand that place. That place is legitimately rage-inducing. But
One of the worst places on Gillinor.
yeah,
I
but
like it.
anyways,
Anyhow, moving on.
Dungeoneering 2.
Interesting. Very
I think that's-
interesting.
I think that's the last thing we have to cover, right? Or
we wanted to
there's some
mention PVM stuff briefly.
more? Right.
I could go through the PVM stuff, but
Yes.
Dungeoneering 2, I'm fairly interested in this. I don't think it should necessarily be faster XP rates, but I think that its real, interest will just be in that it's a change of pace from just running large floors over and over again.
Yeah.
The way that they said it was that it would be basically everything that you wanted in Daemonheim and you didn't have, it will be in this new place. So Daemonheim, I don't know, just another place, and it would be more of preparation in the beginning, less individual goals. So
Less
there would be
individual goals or more individual goals?
more individual goals. So it'd be everyone has their own achievements. Maybe it's mine out 3 different things, or kill a total of 50 monsters in the entire dungeon. It would be stuff like that, and you'd get extra rewards based on that. I think that's what they said. I'm not entirely sure, but
Yeah,
either way, it sounds cool.
it kind of seemed like kind of what I got out of it was that they wanted to do challenge things where if one player was good at a certain thing, they could be kind of specialized with one thing. Which the only refuting point to that is sort of all the people that kind of segmented people off originally when people were still going for 120, and that was a big the whole, for lack of a better term, elitist
You mean
thing.
the Kier
Yeah.
term? You mean
yeah,
Kiers?
there's a Kier, there's the Hexers, there's someone does one thing, there's
Hexers.
I'm not kidding, people. We called them that. Like that was the thing. It's like
Back in the day, lol DG.
If
we
we
actually had to segment people off based on their gear, which that's kind of what it sounds like. But then the problem is that everyone who did that already has 200 mil or 120.
Yeah, like-
if we take a moment of silence for the Hex Hunter bow
Seriously.
in pepperonis. Anyways, go on.
But yeah, it just seems like I don't know how relevant that would be. I'm kind of hoping there isn't like this big mess of like extra achievements and extra stuff to do that's required. It seems like something that's kind of fun. I'm just not sure where. Like, if it's just specifically challenge floors, then okay, cool, because the whole timing thing kind of got buried when everything just got significantly easier as a whole. But I don't know.
And then you have to remember that a lot of Dungeoneering was about rewards because, like Chaotix, they were top end gear back then, like when it came out. So you had your tier 80s, and now tier 90s are the best way to go. So maybe there would be some kind of tier 80 skilling stuff that you could buy, or something like that.
Maybe, yeah, because also Gravite was pretty good for
Free
Yeah,
to
it was
play.
top end.
It's still top end free to play, isn't it?
yeah,
It's second. I think it's second to top end.
yeah.
I think.
Aside from the random super degrading, like what is it, Zuriel or something?
The ancient sets, I think.
Yeah.
They're called something like that.
There's some top, like super
Yeah.
top end, basically free to play PvP stuff that costs.
like-
That's corrupt dragon.
Corrupted Dragon, yeah.
Yeah,
Hang on, I'm finding it.
Because that's dumb. That
ancient-
degrades as you hold it.
What
Yeah.
is it?
I mean it's basically
that's-
PvP
that's
combat
corrupt.
gear.
The
So,
Ancient Warriors stuff is that's members only, and that's from Revenants.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So that's
Anyhow.
Dungeoneering 2, which was something else. Runic, go PVM.
All right, so the first thing that's mentioned in the survey is something that they were originally seemed to be planning for 2016, which seems to have been pushed back. Raids 2, so an expansion of the current NASCAB raids. And I'm very interested in this, but I have a feeling I know why they pushed it back. It's because that people are really completing their Acto sets. So if they're pushing Raids 2 back, because when they originally planned it, they were just planning to add new abilities and not add any more armor because you didn't need it. But now that people are completing their Acto sets, a lot of people are dropping out of the raid scene, especially with all the Dreadnoughts changes.
Yeah, with all the madness that's going on in the raid scene right
For
now.
more on that, check out our last podcast.
Yeah, episode 69.
Let's not make that joke.
Anyhow, so yeah, Raids 2 has been pushed back, and I mean, I've always been really excited for this, but there definitely needs to be some major reconsiderations with the rewards. And the one thing they also mentioned was like solo raids or easier versions of the raids, and I've said this before, but I hate the idea of a variable difficulty. Just give it one difficulty and stick with it. People will figure it out, but that's just my opinion.
At the same
For the
time,
record-
it's like the comp requirements on raids. If there's only one difficulty, I don't know. That's the only. If there was no comp requirement on raids, I would be like, why would you make other difficulties if you don't want to do it? If you can't do it, just don't do it. But if you're forced to do it, that means there might be I can understand the considerations of an easy mode just to get the accomplishment out of the way.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to talk more about easy mode and variable boss difficulties after Telos because they're talking about that a lot.
yeah, this is the first time that they're trying it. Yeah.
That I'm thinking is actually going to be hopefully kind of nice, because then at least like the easy mode can maybe be like a hard mode God Wars Dungeon 1, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely people on like
they
slower
said the
systems.
easy mode will be our next solo difficulty. So have fun.
Like Krill hard mode or something. That's not that bad. That's the thing. Like even with raids, like the more it is now, it's not as bad as it generally like was seen to be. But still, it's like, holy shit! Turn your graphic settings down, or you are going to be in pain.
Yeah. Anyhow, moving on from raids, they've discussed wandering bosses, and I think this is just a bad idea. We have wandering bosses in the demon boss.
Yeah, that was the first thing. I was like, wait, we already have that, don't we?
Yeah.
Like,
And
that'd
they
be
have
cool in the
expensive drops. like the blazing title, I think it's like 90 mil at the moment.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's passing tier 90 stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like these bosses have really good rewards, like really good unique drops, but nobody does them.
Yeah, that's probably why it's 90
Yeah.
mil.
They're just a pain in the ass, and they're not soloable really. They're
Too
just
much
kinda
HP.
boring.
They are soloable. It's just a really long kill. They're
It
not
just
that bad
sucks.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so if they want to do wandering bosses, they have to. The only way to do it is, I don't even know actually. They have to make it a little more interesting than demon flash mobs, and at the same time, I don't know. It seems like a really weird idea that they've tried and failed to do.
Like wandering skiller boss, I think would be interesting. Like if it was supposed to be
Yeah.
like a wandering evil tree mixed with like making meteorites not terrible.
But then
Um,
you already have Evil Tree and Meteorites, so it's like, okay, why
I
not
know,
just
but
do
that
a
would be worth
rework of
more
the
in-
Meteorites?
That would
It could be updates
maybe.
to both of them.
It could
I
be,
mean,
yeah.
They both deserve they both
Evil
could use
Tree
updates.
was given an update like a couple months ago, so
Yeah.
and a
Anyway.
rather large update at that, I think.
Yeah.
Changed
I think so.
basically everything but graphics.
Yeah. And what else? What other Slayer boss stuff? Oh yeah, and they were discussing another solo boss
Yippee!
that isn't Telos. And I mean, sure, I personally don't mind solo bosses. I get people are tired of them. Fine. But my main concern with this is just rewards.
Yeah.
And again, this is something
And
that's
it's-
going to come up after Telos, but rewards are becoming an issue for top end bosses.
We're
now.
starting to get to
Yeah,
the point where it's saturated. The reward
Yeah.
set is saturated.
Telos
If
is
it's
about-
like a mid-level solo boss, then okay, something to kind of bridge a gap between like Mole and then QBD. But it's still like, can we not have another? Because what else are they gonna do at
like
this
I
point?
mean, gear is so saturated at this point; it's not even
It's-
funny.
It's not only gear. This is just another symptom of the fact that we're getting 3 bosses a year, and we've got all sorts of other aging content just around us. And yeah, half our player base does do bosses,
But half
but then
doesn't.
the other half doesn't. And
Yeah,
it like
and I mean,
when you
this-
don't, like, you have all this aging useless skilling content like fire making or fletching or crafting,
Fletching.
yeah,
and
I think,
like
yeah,
all this stuff that just isn't fun.
It isn't useful. Forget fun. It's not even useful.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, you
It's
get
not
it to
useful.
99, then you forget it exists because you
It's not
literally
useful.
never use it.
and it's
Yeah.
not fun. And instead, we're getting 3 new bosses a year, and
That's the
those
thing, like-
bosses become old within a month.
If
and
it moved over to skiller bosses, great. But yeah, traditional PVM is like, please stop. We're just gonna kill it
Yeah.
once and then do nothing about it if we're not big bosses, or just sit there and then camp until the items crash.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
it's just
ignore
like-
it forever.
Yeah.
It's just like a one-up fest because, like,
I'm gonna
who does the Calphite King now? When they could do Araxor.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't they had a Calphite King stream and everyone got absolutely wrecked by Mage Phase because they put too many people in the room.
Rip.
And
Isn't
then
that what always happens though?
Yeah, when there's like 100 people.
And then there's-
100 people is the equivalent of an intercontinental nuke.
Rip.
And then you've got, what is it? The Ascension Dungeon, which is completely glossed over in favor of more Araxor, or more God Wars Dungeon 2,
Like,
or
it's
stuff
not
like that.
profitable anymore. The only reason people do Ascension bosses nowadays is pets.
Yeah.
And it's still, and even that, people aren't farming the bows anymore for profit. They're just doing it for pets, and the bows are still negative profit on average.
Yeah,
Like-
and also they're not even that hard anymore. That's the
No.
thing. Like that's the problem. Every single time a boss comes out, like even if you just wait a little while, even with raids, I found it just eventually gets easier. People figure it out,
Yeah.
and then they just drag
And
you
I mean-
along to do something.
I think after Telos comes out, I'm going to have like a big, long discussion on one of these casts about the state of PVM moving forward.
I could do a whole mini episode and put it up on the other channel if you want.
Yeah, I mean, there's-
I'd definitely be up for that.
If
because
it's just like us three, because I have my own complaints. I can kind of speak from Walter's point of view of just like if you have like if you're in a bad hardware situation and it makes it difficult to even get into bossing, like, what's the point?
Or a bad ISP situation in Walter's
Yeah, or-
case.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
actually terrified of when they force people to switch over all to NXT because I've said it. I can't run NXT for combat. And I mean, I'm not.
and that
in a
might
position
just
to get
be-
a computer.
That
anytime
might just
soon.
be a bug on your end, or a bug in the system too, though. So
be.
that as they get
Yeah.
as NXT is around for longer, more things will get ironed out. Like as I've played more of NXT, the loading times have gotten shorter, and the everything's gotten smoother. So it's going in the right direction. They know that it's not perfect, and they're working on fixing it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot. Like, even sitting through Kiln today, it looks really good in NXT. Just there's some really weird bugs with it.
Oh, Czar in NXT is so nice.
Speaking of that Kiln update,
Yeah. Kiln
Mixed-
update.
mixed opinions on whether or not it should be buffed. I still say it is, but that's just because sub 30 is not hard anymore.
No.
It's
Kiln
sad.
definitely deserves to be buffed.
What we're talking
and that's
about is-
coming
I mean-
on Monday.
We're talking
Yeah.
about is that they're discussing buffing the fight kiln. Right? I don't know
They're
what.
not
The,
Yeah, I'm
They're
aware of
doing
that
it.
update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I'm just saying for anyone listening and that isn't aware, they're planning on buffing it. So if you want your shrimpy pet, go get it now before.
You have 100 hours starting whenever this cast comes out.
Yeah, it's like
Perhaps even less.
yeah, it's
Gotta
like
go
next
fast.
week or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's,
or 2 weeks or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's about it in terms of the PVM stuff on the.
yeah. All right. So we're not going to talk about much else here. They
Weather.
they did mention PvP, which is whatever. Adding more content to the wilderness for it to become dead content. 120
I'm-
Slayer.
Wait.
No, please.
if they can manage to pull it off and it's not dead content, that would be great. But I doubt it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, just make... What the even is that thing? The Cauldron? It had, in my opinion, some of the best music at that time. Some of the coolest looking...
Crucible.
I don't know if they were cosmetic rewards. The helmet was the coolest forum avatar you could ever have at that point. And it's dead. It's
The Crucible?
100% dead. The
Crucible, that's it.
Crucible, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah. It was
You listed
that
the
was the
synonyms.
coolest stupid thing at that time, and then it died within like a month.
Yep. Well, it's because
Oh my
PvPers didn't stay on RS3. They just didn't. I don't actually know why,
Yeah,
but they
that
just
had
didn't.
so many chances to be really cool because that was even the thing. Like, if you died, you got a stupid title on your name. Like, if they made that to make you to allow you to permanently unlock some of the titles, that'd be great.
Yep. But yes.
I don't know why there's more PvP stuff coming out.
Well, because
Or in
nobody's
the works.
because nobody's playing it. That's the reason.
Yeah.
It's similar to the bosses. Well, people's playing this content,
Yeah.
so there must be more. Nobody's playing PvP, so why would we make content for that? But and that's a problem that Mod Pi has been working
Working
working very hard on to try and revitalize that. But I mean, it's only so much you can do. Also, player-owned farms was mentioned. They brought back the idea of skill mastery and prestige, so that it sounds like they're actually planning on bringing back that prestige kind of thing in a different form.
Even though it kind of died.
Well,
Yeah.
if they do it right, and it's not, if they do it right, I can't see a reason why you wouldn't do it. Like I don't know. It seems good to me. But the last thing that we're going to talk about, which is something I'm super hyped about and is being polled well, is weather systems in NXT.
Not only weather system, dynamic weather systems. Because we did get our first taste of weather in the Void Knight rework, where it's like, oh, it's a dreary place, and it reminds me of England, but it looks so wonderful at being dreary, and that also reminds me of England.
Yeah, and they gave screenshots of like the dreary version versus the sunny version, and it was like, wow, if this could be the case in other parts of the world, oh my
It's
god,
just-
it'd be so
it's so-
cool.
It's so thematic. Like,
And that could also extend to maybe day-night cycles, at a certain point, not necessarily like things fundamentally changing during day-night cycles, but just different lighting in different regions, and we know that that's possible because of some of the bugs that we've had, like the taking the nighttime bug in your player-owned house to the desert, but
yeah, this is something that I think I'm probably the most apprehensive about this, just from like a games development perspective, just because Walter and I sort of had this discussion where there are actually multiple suns in the game as light sources, which they're trying to fix. But it's anytime you just see an area go from one shadow direction to another, and it kind of messes up where things are located. But also, if you've ever seen the glitches with the ground flashing in NXT, that's also a lighting issue. So a lot of it's sort of like, there's a way to do day-night cycles as a model. I don't know how they'll pull it off with the current game map without it being extremely CPU heavy. Or just a really difficult to load in thing.
My favorite light issue is actually in the Pyramid Plunder, where the light casts a shadow on the ground, and it's just so awkward. It's like, what is that kind of spinny thing that's on the ground? And I was like, oh, it was the light that was casting that shadow.
It's literally light casting a shadow of itself.
Yeah, that's the thing that's confusing, because like, it's not really a light source, it's just a model that has a light aspect. I don't know. Like, some of the lighting is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, largely in RuneScape, which that's what makes me kind of worried. Like, I know it'd be great to have day-night cycles, and it's probably possible, but it's like, you'd have to do it, like, loading into an area. Is it visible by everyone? 'Cause there's a way to make it do that. It's just really intensive.
Oh, yeah.
And would suck.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying... I'm looking at this from a, wow, this would be cool perspective.
Yeah,
I'm not looking
really
at it
nice.
from a, wow, this would be a nightmare to code, or this would
if
make
it
my
was,
computer run, like, terribly, or anything like that.
Yeah, like if it was kind of like, I think of like Skyrim, because like some nights there you can see the northern lights really well. Some nights it looks like shit. Some nights it's cloudy. Some days it's raining. Sometimes it's foggy, kind of, and sometimes it's like completely bright. That would be really, really nice, because they managed to make it look really, really nice.
And it looks real. It feels immersive, and it feels...
Yeah.
That's what... So I'm looking at this like, man, that would be awesome if they could do that. And then I leave... Then I say, if you can do that, please do. If you can do it.
Yeah, if they can get it to work if they can get something to work at least, and not like absolutely nuke people's clients and computers, that would be pretty great.
But
even if it's like not 100%.
What I'm basically saying is, don't overhype this too much, because it might not be possible. But
Really
I would love to see it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think everyone would love to see it if it's done well.
Yes.
And it doesn't even have to have any real implications on the game world.
But then they said that it could.
But then, but if it works, then why not have it be possible to have...
Actually, like, that's the thing with the real-world implications, because that was something that I remember a long time ago, like years ago.
This is the problem with
when I
war
first got
bands.
introduced to the desert quest, where there was like you go out in the desert and you get a varying level of damage based on what you're wearing and how often, and that was based on your clothing because it was the desert. But then there was also a lot of NPCs saying, oh yeah, there are dust storms, and then there was never a dust storm, except for a scripted one in the Golem quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting to actually have that, like, yes, you do actually get caught in a dust storm. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
I mean, this is probably, of all of the updates that they've mentioned or that are here, this would probably be the most difficult one for them to do. It'd be the coolest one, of course, because that's how it often works.
But then again, it might also be one of those things that we might end up taking for granted at some point.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, after it gets released, and we're like, oh, it's always been like that. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But, I mean, this would be really, really cool. I would love to see it, and...
Here's the thing, it would make Christmas a lot prettier. It would make seasons a lot prettier, if that could happen.
Like, bringing in my experiences in other games, Vindictus does seasonal lighting and seasonal stuff like that, and They
Yeah.
used to kind of do it for just a week or two, but now they've started like really extending it through. And in the spring, you have flower blossoms on the trees, and you can see flower petals falling around you. And then in the summer, it's bright and sunny, and then in the winter, it's kind of dark and dreary and snowy. And it really, even in that, the very, very simple form that it is in that game, it adds a lot to because it's just like, it's different, and there's every time but yeah. Anyways, we should probably wrap it up. We're at an hour 40, which is
Nice.
long, very long for us, but honestly, I was expecting this to
It is
go.
unsurprising.
Honestly, we have so much. If you could see my
Yeah, it's just like
my piece of paper for this, it is about 3 times longer than any other.
I think the only thing we
outline.
can say, the only thing we can say at the end of this is stay tuned, because there's going to be more.
Oh yeah, I mean, and this is all future stuff, so we'll
Yeah.
see this stuff coming up in BTS's in the next 6, 8, 12 months, and we'll see it in dev blogs, and we'll see.
This is long stuff coming.
But
Yep.
yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm really looking forward to the arc and pretty much everything that comes after that. Like, we have Fate of the Gods 2 coming in November, and apparently Slisky's Endgame coming literally the next month. So that'll be interesting to see as well. But yeah, anyways, I do think that pretty much wraps up everything we wanted to talk about. If any of you on Twitter or on YouTube, I guess, or on iTunes, wants us to cover anything that we didn't mention, leave us a message, tweet us at Seercast, or any one of us specifically, our individual, the Seer Twitter list is going to be in the description of the YouTube version of this. Tweet any of us and just let us know, and we'll see if we can get it covered in the next Seercast. The next one will probably be after gowerquest, but I'm not sure. It might be what is next month? July. The July BTS. But
We'll see you eventually.
yeah, it'll be a week or two. But yeah, I think that
And
covers.
there's probably also going to be the Citrus edition of the gowerquest,
Yep.
in which Lime meets Cabbage.
Rip someone.
Hilarity ensues.
I don't know who's going to get ripped, but yeah.
That's what
So
we're gonna find out.
yeah, stay tuned and
I
find
know.
out.
I've been going to the gym lately.
All right, but yeah, anything else? Any of you guys want to shamelessly plug?
Hashtag never mounts ever.
Oh yeah, we didn't. Well, I guess we mentioned that briefly. Please no mounts.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no mounts.
Please no.
That would be more obnoxious than Drake's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
anyways,
But it would not be more obnoxious than Drake.
or ponies, or ponies.
Hotline mounts.
Anyways, so I think that does cover everything we want to talk about. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube and on iTunes and stuff, and we will see you guys next time.
Wait. There's one more thing I want to say. I
What?
just want to let everyone know that Walter has been here the entire time.
Yes, he totally has.
Yes.
He is
Yes,
definitely.
definitely.
All right, okay, bye.
Bye.